StarCraft and Brood War and Warcraft 3, it was all tile-based. And so you had a tendency to see the hard edges of the textures. You can see the dark textures next to the light textures. Where what we have now is a alpha blending texture system, where you could actually now blend the textures together, and the end result is basically, as you paint your map, no two parts of the map are going to actually look the same. It's going to, however you want to blend these textures and make the look the way you want to do it is kind of up to you. And one of the other things we wanted to show you is new for us is hard tiles, or the roads, and this particular mission has a road. I just wanted to convey to the player that this is not something the artist had created in our asset and actually built a road for us and said, hey, this is what you guys get to use. This is something that when you guys get a hold of the editor, you're going to point and click and you're going to build your road. If you want to do the 55, hitting the 22 and the 405, I mean, you guys can go crazy with it, you know. And basically this little picture right here is an illustration as to, you know, I kind of torqued the road out of there to kind of point out that this is just something you can do on the fly. One of the other things that's new to us and is very exciting is the terrain foliage. And this kind of works with the texturing. And the way this works is based on the textures that you're using on the map, that you could generate doodads for those textures. And so in this particular picture, I'm using the dark green, so you got the tall grass blades. But this is something that's just generated automatically. And you could kind of, how dense do you want the grass to be, or how sparse, and it's kind of up to you. And so the ultimate effect is it really helps give a 3D look to the whole map. It just makes everything snap together, and it's just a really beautiful, beautiful final product here. And once again, here's a little video. This is, you know, a heavy scripted Zerg invasion. See the little colonist truck trying to get away here.
All right, let's talk mods. Are there any mod makers here in the house tonight? Anybody at all? All right. It's like 5 of you guys. You guys got to get busy because there's a lot of people waiting to play your game. So StarCraft 2 has a more powerful editor than we've ever seen before, but I'd like to take a moment to look at what our fans have done with the tools they had for Warcraft 3. So this is a great tool, and with this tool, they've made games like Defense of the Ancients. Let's be clear on this. This is a fan-made game that is now played by I don't know how many thousands or hundreds of thousands of players around the world. This is a fan-made game that major studios are trying to copy. They're trying to figure out how to capture the magic of this game made by our fans, you know, in their rooms, on their personal computers, and then upload it to Battle.net. Yeah, woo, is right. Unbelievable. We've got tower defense games. This was an original game type made by our fans starting out in the original StarCraft and really, really exploded onto the scene in Warcraft 3 and in Frozen Throne. Games like Plants vs. Zombies, just an excellent game made by a professional studio, owes a huge amount of its design philosophy to this game type created by our fans. And that's not the only tower defense game made out there these days. There's tower defense games made for the iPhone. There's all kinds of tower defense games made based on this genre of game made by our fans. Yeah, that's right. We've got other great games out there. There's all kinds of games you can play online today on Battle.net in Warcraft 3. Games like Footman Frenzy. There's RPG maps you can play. There's all kinds of stuff. There's just a huge variety of games that you can find and play. And all of this comes from our fans and comes from the editor we released. And now we're going to be releasing an even more powerful editor with StarCraft 2 and even better support for our fans, with the ability for fans at some point in the future even to declare that their map is now a premium map, and these hardworking folks can actually receive money from the players for all the work they've put into these maps. You can see all of the work these guys have done with no resources, and with a tool that is strong, but not as good as the tool they're going to get now. It's almost impossible to imagine the amount of work and the kinds of quality games we're going to be playing in the years to come, now with all these additional resources coming their way and all of the support we're going to be giving them with this new tool. Furthermore, I'd like to say that 1/3 of our design staff on StarCraft 2 comes from the fan community, mod makers who have shown us their work and have gotten jobs on this team. We've seen mod makers join other parts of Blizzard, and I know there are mod makers around the industry that have come from our game using our tool. They have learned the business, and they've gotten jobs all around the industry. So this is just a great, great way for us and for the industry at large to discover new talent and for us all to be playing better games moving into the future. Now, I've got a few examples of some games made by our staff. Now, this is not something these guys have put a lot of time into, so some of these things are kind of rough. And of course, this is just a few guys. And these are smart guys, they know what they're doing and they know the tool, but still, they haven't had a chance to interact with millions of fans making these games. This is just the tip of the iceberg of what might be possible in the years to come. Whoop, I skipped a slide. All right, so here's an example of our data editor here in action. This is our Uberlisk. As you can see, our Uberlisk has a number of spine crawlers grafted to his back. This is all done with the data editor. This is all stuff you can do with our tool. There's no custom code required, no code knowledge required. You just have to learn how to use our tool. You can see here those spine crawlers, spore crawlers are shooting banelings as projectiles, firing other Zerg units at our Uberlisk. But the Uberlisk is too mighty. He has taken them out, and now he's going to use his ability to destroy the ground itself to deal with this lurker threat. Truly, can anything stop the mighty Uberlisk? Perhaps a million billion Zerg can finally bring him down. But even as the Uberlisk dies, he will give off a blast of psionic energy, destroying his opponents. That's all done with the data editor. Justin Kinklich, one of our best data guys, put this together, including the map, in about a day and a half. Now, Justin is obviously an expert at using this tool, but we've seen time and time again that our fans just have an incredible passion for this game, and they do things that we could not possibly imagine once the game gets into their hands. So here's another map put together. It starts to look like a regular map, but suddenly we find ourselves, what's this? A third-person action game. So we've got a ghost character here moving through the environment, and I'm using my mouse and keyboard to control this ghost. Well, actually, I'm just using my keyboard right now, but just yesterday, the engineers put in support for mouse look. It's not in this build here, but at some point, you'll actually be able to move where you want to look and aim your weapons using the mouse, just like you would with a third-person action game. As you can see, we've moved from a rural environment into the city, and we've been fighting against the Zerg. And if that wasn't enough, now we're going to go inside a building and we're going to talk to a character as part of our third-person action RPG. And having spoken to this character, we're going to use some custom UI created in our scripting engine, and we're going to move back into the city and engage the Zerg threat. And you can see there's all kinds of monsters in this environment. We can use roaches, we can use hydralisks. Anything that we could use in the RTS game is easily used by our mod makers down here as well. You could make custom units and put them here as well. These are just sort of standard Zerg units that come with the game, but you can put anything you can think of in this environment as our ghost character moves to this environment and just blasts the place up. And if that wasn't quite enough for you, we've also got the ability to take our ghost character underground. We are underground in a real-time strategy game. Unbelievable. So we move through the underground mine here. We can continue to engage the Zerg, fighting with our weapons, aiming our weapon carefully. We can engage our cloaking device using custom UI put in by the designer of this mission. and this was put together by somebody in their spare time. Obviously, a skilled professional, but nonetheless, just put together very quickly, made a whole game world with a city, talking to characters, objectives, a mini-map you could use, a little arrow showing you where to go, all kinds of options. The last thing I'd like to show you here today this is our Lost Viking game. We've got a little Viking fighter ship there, trying desperately to find his way home as he battles through a swarm of Protoss enemies. And this is just a total action game put together by Mung Song. He's one of our designers who came from the mod community, is now working on StarCraft 2. You see our poor Lost Viking is surrounded by Protoss on all sides. He's trying to deal with the carrier, and suddenly a mothership arrives. You notice there's some custom UI there at the top. At the top right, there is a green boss bar in play there that will tell us how quickly we're damaging this unit. The mothership has a bunch of special abilities. There really is, as far as we know, not a lot of limits to what these players will be able to do with this engine. This is just the tip of the iceberg, just a few examples from some of our more creative members of Blizzard Entertainment. But really, who can say what's going to happen when the power of this editor and the power of Battle.net 2.0 finally gets into your hands, the users? So that's our presentation for today. We have some time for some questions if you guys would like to ask them. We've got two veterans of Blizzard Entertainment, 12 years using tools like the StarCraft 2, the Warcraft 2 tool, and of course they've got a bunch of work on StarCraft 2 as well. We can answer a lot of questions for you about what is and is not possible with our StarCraft tool editor.
All right, if you guys have questions, make sure to line up in the center aisle here. Hi, Dustin. I'm I'm a huge fan of the replays, and your commentator on the StarCraft battle reports. Those are awesome. And my question was, it sounds like it's a huge esports thing. You're starting with StarCraft 2. My question is, are you planning on building that into StarCraft 2 and Battle.net so that people can hop online and watch replays just as spectators? I could save a replay to my hard drive and say, hey, come on guys, check this out. This was a great game between me and so.
Sure, so I would disagree a little bit that we are building esports. Esports has been built by you guys around the world for years now. We are definitely trying to expose more people to esports as much as possible. I think it's a really fun way to play, and it's a really sort of exciting way to experience the game. We do have a lot of plans for Battle.net in terms of continuing to promote esports. Some of this we've talked about yesterday, and Rob talked about in his presentation, with sort of better score screens, better observer mode features, better replay features. We're going to continue to work at the office on how we can continue to promote esports. I don't know we have a ton of plans already to reveal quite yet, but yeah, absolutely, esports is a huge focus for us. It's a huge focus for the next generation of Battle.net, and something we want to continue to work on.
Yeah, hi. I was watching the art panel yesterday, and they talked a lot about the physics of the different debris when things are blown up. Will that be affecting your own troops or enemy troops or other obstacles that can be blown up in-game?
The physics that we use is primarily used for visual sort of fun. We don't tend to use them too much for core gameplay because we feel like it's a little too random for sort of the intense battles of StarCraft. We don't want the game to be too random. So the physics are primarily there, for your fun, to make it look cool. That is stuff, of course, you could potentially use for mods, and all that stuff will be in there for you to use.
Hi, I'm a StarCraft modder, and in the general gaming community, when someone refers to mods, they're referring to things like Counter-Strike, things that were an entire new game on using an existing engine. In these panels, I've heard the term mod used a lot to refer to a custom map, and I was wondering, what's tongue-tied, sorry. I am really tongue-tied. With a mod, is it
Okay, I think he's asking for like a definition between a map and a mod.
I got where you're going. Like, what's the difference between mods and sort of custom maps, right? And for us, they've sort of been one and the same. Like, I guess technically Dota is a custom map, but wow, what a difference, right? Like, it's such a completely different experience. It's hard for me to define it not as sort of a full conversion of the game in many ways.